Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host. And today, my special guest is Michelle Dwyer. Michelle helps her clients create realistic, sustainable changes to feel their best. She is a board-certified holistic nutritionist and a certified nutrition consultant. She holds a Master of Science in Health and Nutrition Education from Hawthorne University and is a trained hormone cure coach, recognized as a top health coach by Coach Foundation. She has also received Best of the Bay and Best of Oakland awards. She integrates science-backed strategies with personalized support to help her clients achieve lasting wellness. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you, Sheila. It's so great to be here.
And it's great to have you. So I'd love to learn a little bit about you and how you turned your own health journey into a mission to guide others with clarity and compassion. What was that defining moment that led you to become a holistic nutritionist and health coach?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. And it really was quite the journey and quite the huge transition. So, the brief version is that in my previous life, I was a high school English teacher. I loved teaching, but I was really burnt out and I got really sick. I can tell you the day that I got sick. It was in October, about 14 years ago, and I just never got better. I had a cough that wouldn't go away. My energy kept tanking, and month after month after month, I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Saw my doctor, they said, "You're fine." I'm like, "I'm not fine." And so through that journey, I ended up working with a naturopathic doctor. I started to work on healing my immune system, healing my gut, changing my eating plan, which I thought had been pretty amazing beforehand. So it was all very surprising to me. And slowly but surely, I started to feel better. And I talked about like this idea of the phoenix rising from the ashes. I mean, it's really how I felt. And what turned out to be my last first day of school, I didn't know it at the time. It was the end of the day. I was checking my email and this little ad popped up. This is back when ads popped up and it said, "Do you want to transform people's lives through holistic nutrition?" And I thought, I do. I do want to transform people's lives through holistic nutrition because it had been so healing and transformative for me. So I never click on those ads, but I clicked on it and it was like Alice in Wonderland. By the time I sat down to dinner with my husband, I was like, "This is what I want to do. This is how I want to serve. This is what I'm meant to how I'm meant to be. This is the transition that I've been looking for. That I still get to be an educator by heart, but I'm educating about people tapping into their own wellness, their own transformation, their own health journey." And so began. And I decided to go back to school, got my master's of science in health and nutrition education, and then decided to open my own practice. And so it's been such I have to say that, even though it was so hard to go through that initial illness, it was very scary, it was very lonely, it was very isolating, it was very confusing. However, it has given me the true empathy to be supportive to my clients when they're in that place and space, right? To really, I can say with authenticity, I hear you, I get you, I understand you. Your story is different, your experience is different, and I've been there, and let's figure out how to move you to the next step so that you're feeling as good as possible, as quickly as possible. And so here I am 12 years later in practice, and it's been a beautiful journey, and I'm very grateful for it.
I can just feel your energy. When we began the podcast, I was like, wow, you're so energetic.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
wonderful hearing from how you are feeling to how you are. That's quite a transformation, not just, career path, but yep, your
Yep.
health in general. So
Yeah.
kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will say, I mean, it has helped me shape my practice and shape my business. When I made my business plan, the number one thing on my business plan and has remained is my own health and well-being. Because if I'm not healthy, I'm not strong, I'm not vibrant. I mean, I'm a human, I get to fluctuate just like everybody else. But if I'm not prioritizing my health and well-being in my business, none of this matters, right? None of this matters. So it's not just about being authentic and walking the walk. It's truly that this is my health and well-being is the most important part of my business and practice, and then everything kind of follows from there, so
So health is really general. If we were to niche down a bit, right, to what
yeah.
specific health issues people come and seek your guidance, what would
Yeah,
you
no, that's a
say
great
then?
question. Well, it's funny that you even say the word niche. I've been in practice for 12 years, and I have avoided niching so much. Um, However, there is a certain type of client that I love to serve. So I work with things around digestive wellness. I work around supporting people with their blood sugar balance. I'm really passionate right now about using continuous glucose monitors with my clients to help them visualize and regulate what's going on with their blood sugar. Um, I have a lot of clients, it's just really lovely that they're doing a lot of good things and they want to just make sure they're being in an optimal state of health. They want to be strong when they're 70, 80, 90 years old. And so they're realizing the choices that they're making when they're 40, 50, 60. And then the other area that I'm super passionate about is supporting women in perimenopause and menopause with that transition. Just like validating their experience, validating their symptoms, giving them the support that they need, whether it's through nutrition, sleep support, stress management, mindset, strength training, but also just listening and being like, we will get through this transition together. And because I'm a holistic health coach and certified nutrition consultant, yes, I get to talk about food and nutrition, and I love that. And also, are we connecting with people that we love? Are we spending time in nature? Are we getting good sleep and rest? Are we doing the mindset work or the perspective shifts that we need? So that's why I love it because I kind of do get to talk about a lot of different things.
So that's almost tied into the second question that I had for you. A lot of people do struggle with energy dips, with stress, burnout. What would be that one most important foundational shift, whether it be food, mindset, lifestyle, that can help them feel more balanced and energized?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that's funny. I have a million things in my mind, and one of them is also just like, are you hydrated? Are you drinking your water? But we can talk about hydration another day. I do really think when we are stressed and overwhelmed, the last thing we need is a list of 12 things to do, right? And so many people can feel like their self-care and their wellness is another thing on the to-do list. So number one, what I would say is don't think of supporting your health and wellness as something on your to-do list, that it is the foundation. I know for a lot of people, how they start the day sets the tone for the rest of their day. So that's often a great place to start. Waking up and drinking a big glass of water, waking up and brushing your teeth, waking up and doing a quick mindfulness. It doesn't even have to be for 20 minutes, doing some journaling. If you're like, oh my gosh, I have no time for that. I've got like 4 kids and we got to get out the door. Taking a moment to make your tea, to make your coffee, and just take a deep breath before you drink your morning beverage. I will also say, eating a good breakfast, right? Is there a lot of protein in your breakfast? Are you not having all the sugary things? Because then we're just setting a tone for the rest of the day. But I think if we can acknowledge like one thing, especially in the morning, I think this is a great way to start the day because then we think, okay, no matter else what happens today, I've done this for myself. I've done this for myself. So I always like thinking about one tiny morning routine, and it really can be anything, right? It doesn't have to be something like, oh, I have to, do 12 exercises and do like keep it simple and then really honor that and then build from there.
So I feel like you're almost talking to me because that's exactly me. I want to do so much self care. It becomes this huge list
Yeah,
that ends up on my to do list. And
absolutely.
then when I break it down, okay, just make it a point to do this one smaller task. And lately it's
Yep.
been breathing because I've had other guests that have explained the importance of breathing. And, we breathe every day,
We
but
breathe every day. It's the most important thing. We can go a couple days without water. We can go longer without food. Sleep is hard. We can't go more than a few minutes without breathing, and it's free and it's always with us.
so I'll need
Yeah.
to incorporate number two or number three, rather than seeing it as that huge to do list to be like, am I perfectly balanced and as healthy as I could be?
Absolutely. And I think, in this world of influencers or people talking about self care, there can be this feeling like, oh my God, I'm like failing at self care. I'm failing at taking care of myself, which is like adds to all of it. So it really is, it's bringing it back to something very simple, drinking a glass of water, taking a deep breath, making a good breakfast for yourself, packing your lunch. Do one small, simple thing. And I think the other thing, besides the 12 things, is people will overshoot. So again, making it tiny. So like the breathing, someone might want to say, well, I should meditate for 60 minutes a day every day. Sure, you can if you want to, and you have space for that. How about start with 3 slow, deep breaths, right? It takes 1 minute to do that. So I also say start, take all the things off the list, put them in the bonus category, and then shrink it down as small as possible. So I love
All right.
that.
So now I do have another question. I know you said, no, I don't like to niche, but the subject, we're going to just focus right now on midlife women, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps they're going through perimenopause or through menopause. Would
Mhm.
any of that change? Like, would breathing still be optimal, or is there a specific change that could help with this stage of life?
Yeah, I mean, I really love supporting midlife women, and I will say this is a big part of my own milestone. I'm 51, I'm in perimenopause. I call it late stage perimenopause. Like I'm in the chaotic stage, and I'm very vocal about it. I will talk, at the grocery store about this because I want to destigmatize. I want us to be having these conversations. I think breathing is a great place to start. I think really like allowing ourselves to have space to just be quiet and connected to our bodies, even if it's just for a minute. Wow, it can be revolutionary, right? Especially for midlife women when if we're serving, 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 going, 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 doing, 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 to take just literally one moment where your only job to do is to breathe and be present with yourself. So I think there's so much even just in the power of the breath. Other things that I talk to my women a lot about is making sure you're getting enough protein. It's so boring. It's so like over trendy, but are you eating enough protein throughout the day? Because our protein needs really do change. It keeps us balanced. It keeps us stable. It keeps us satisfied. And then the other really boring thing that I talk about all the time is fiber. Oh my gosh, who thought I would spend all my days talking about, are you getting enough fiber? So there are these very practical things. I'm also a big fan of like adding positive things rather than saying like, don't do this and don't do that, and shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. And then the third one is prioritizing sleep. I think I know that I cannot function well if I'm not getting the sleep that my body needs. And even if sleep is challenging, getting the best sleep that you can, because that can start to happen in perimenopause and menopause. So it really is coming back to these basics. Like, what do you need to do every day? Are you breathing? Are you drinking your water? Are you eating food that keeps you balanced and stable and happy and grounded? Are you sleeping? Because without those basic things, all the supplements in the world, all the hacks in the world, all the devices in the world is not gonna make up for any of that.
Paying attention, fiber,
Fiber,
protein, water,
protein,
and
water.
sleep. And then, of
Mhm,
course, breathing. So, what
mhm.
about the hot flashes, which is, I think, one of the biggest complaints? I could be with friends at a restaurant, right? And all of a sudden they're like turning red and putting the
Yeah.
fan up and the head
Yep.
up, or it'll wake people up at night.
Yep. Yep. And I also want to say hot flashes, yes, and there's some things we can do. And also, if someone never experiences hot flash, you can still be in perimenopause and menopause, right? That I believe it's about 70% of women experience some sort of temperature dysregulation. Sometimes people get really, really cold in menopause and perimenopause. But for the hot flash, we're coming back to the breathing again. There's actually been studies done that doing slow deep breath, doing diaphragmatic breathing, actually, because your body is sort of in a, you can kind of think of it as like a flare state, right? So bringing that cortisol levels back down. A lot of women will get if they feel stressed or flustered or they're on, they have to like give a presentation, they'll kind of see that hot flash come on. Alcohol, coffee, some of those can trigger it too. So really what we're doing is trying to bring like re-regulate the system. So bringing that breath back down, is in terms of like non-pharmaceutical and non supplement things, and also seeing what your triggers are. Because if you're like, oh, every time I do this, I get a hot flash, we want to start kind of tracking that. So, and then at night, there's lots of things you can do, keeping the room really, really cool. There's cooling sheets. There's lots of really great things to just bring your core temperature down before bed so that you might be less likely to be disrupted by the hot flashes. So, excuse me, sometimes people don't even get a hot flash, but they'll just get like night sweats and things like that. So, yeah.
So for those who want to either work with you or continue learning or perhaps even get inspired by recipes, what do
Yeah.
you offer and where can they find you?
Great. Yes. So I'm at healthcoachmichelle.com. Very simple. That's my Instagram. That's my Facebook, is everything is Health Coach Michelle. And I have a number of different ways I love to work with people. So I do one-on-one work where we can really get very personalized. It's very thoughtful in terms of timing, meeting you where you're at, going at the pace that works for you. I do some testing if that's appropriate. So we can really kind of do a deep dive into your health and well-being. I also have a group program that I love, I adore. It fills my cup up so much, and it's such a beautiful way to serve, called Whole Life Nourishment. And it's a 4-month group program where we get to talk about all of these things: food and nutrition, sleep and rest, movement and exercise, our habits and routines, but we also get to talk about our connection to ourselves, our connection to others, our mindset, and then also our mission and purpose, because we've been put here for a really, really positive reason. And so I love that. It's all online, so people can join from anywhere. And then third, really fun option, I'm running one right now, is I do continuous glucose monitor groups where someone puts a little sensor on the back of their arm and we wear it for 2 weeks. It connects to your phone and you get to see in real time how food, stress, I know it's so much fun, food, stress, exercise, sleep, how all these different things are affecting your blood sugar. And it's a really empowering way to know exactly what's going on with you and your body and how food and all these other things are affecting you. And I love it. I run it as a group program, so it's very accessible financially. And again, it's all online. So those are a couple of ways right now that folks can work with me.
So what's the biggest finding? People put on these stickers. Is there like a common finding where
Mm.
people
I think people are often surprised at a food that will really spike their blood sugar, which is not helpful for our body because that is very stressful to the body. Ultimately, it can lead to things like prediabetes or weight gain. I think what people are also surprised about is the crash that sometimes comes afterwards. So, what goes up must come down. So, a lot of people don't feel a blood sugar high, but they might feel that crash. And that's when if you've ever been hangry, if you're a person who gets hangry, so people might feel, and this is also where cravings come in because you start craving sugar then. But the other thing that I think people notice a lot is what they have for dinner, when they have dinner, and how much that affects their blood sugar, and then how much that can affect their sleep. So these are things that we're not ever tracking, but all of a sudden the blood sugar is showing us like, wow, I had a really terrible night's sleep and my blood sugar was really high all night. And then we start to look at these correlations. And again, what I love it, I kind of think of it as like a Star Trek. Like this is the closest thing we have to the future because then I don't have to say anything about, I don't like to call food a good or bad. I like to think is a food working for us? Is it not? Is it nourishing or is it depleting? what's working for one person may not work for someone else. So in this group right now, someone ate, I'll just pick something simple, a banana. One person ate the banana, no problem. The other person ate the banana, it skyrocketed and then came crashing down. So now she knows that. I'm not going to tell her not to have the banana, but she can see this is what it's doing to my blood sugar. So I love it because it's also like a target. When we target the blood sugar, we get to talk about all these other different things, what we're eating, when we're eating, how much we're eating, stress, even hydration, all these different sleep, all these different factors that come within that beautiful target of blood sugar.
Oh, yeah, and you don't have to be pricking your finger because
Oh my gosh. Yes, I will say, I mean, if you've ever seen a diabetic, and this is for people with not, so I only work with in the CGM group people with prediabetes or if it's just been creeping up. I don't work with folks with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, but if you've ever been around someone, they have to prick their finger multiple times a day to see what their blood sugar is. This little sensor sits in the back of your arm and it's just monitoring it straight all the time for 2 weeks without ever having to prick your finger. So I love it for the data and the visual that people get. And again, so that they can feel empowered, they can make choices. We talk about exercise and how that can bring down blood sugar, doing squats. So I give really, really practical tools to because we're gonna eat the things, we're gonna live our lives, we're gonna have these fun things. So how do we do so in a way that support our health goals and intentions? So
well, you're a powerhouse between the energy and the teaching experience. You've explained everything very, easy to understand. And then with this extra component in the group coaching, it's just like the full package. So
yeah,
cool.
thank you, thank you.
And so, what is your next milestone?
I love this question. I feel like it actually brings everything that we've been talking about together. Um, I really do feel at 51 that there's a transition happening. I mean, I'm literally going through a physical transition and I really want to honor and respect that. And I can feel what that means for my business, that it's gonna be a shift in how I wanna show up. It's gonna be a shift in how I serve, who I wanna serve, how I wanna support people. And so I am very excited about these CGM groups and reaching more folks there. So that's definitely a milestone that I'm looking forward to, and really partnering with functional medicine doctors and, really kind of coming together and doing a lot of partnerships and also just being I'm very curious about how showing up in my own practice and my business and as a practitioner looks as I'm making this transition. So I feel like it's a little bit I'm in the tunnel. So we will see what the next milestone is with that.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about that. And
Yeah.
since it's in my case, right, with the self leadership, I've broken it down to five. I'm also bringing in adaptation. And I'm thinking that's maybe the next couple topics, right? How do you adapt to changes?
Well, absolutely, and I was just having this conversation with a friend yesterday who's also in business, because everything feels, I don't know if this is true, but everything feels like it's changing really quickly. Right, like, I know we've been talking about AI, I mean, even just, how much that's transformed things in just a few years. So I think I'm curious in terms of, like, how to bring grounded wisdom to fast-paced changes and staying authentic to myself and how I wanna serve and also embracing and, like, stepping into the flow of all that's unfolding, right? And so kinda holding that tension of both of those pieces.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sheila.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.